This is part 2, and we're looking at some more components of a floor system. These are kind of things that kind of tie it in and finish it off. If you notice here, this is called a subfloor. Big sheets of plywood. They're 4x8 roughly. They're actual dimensions are slightly smaller. This actually has a tongue and a groove into it, to where a two pieces locked together comes down, has a little groove, and then the next piece comes down, has a little tongue that slides into there, and the two pieces slide together. It's called tongue and groove plywood. Now, there's been many different variations of this. This right here, this particular brand is called Advantech. It's probably the most common, and it's a type of particle board that's been sandwiched together with a lot of pressure and a lot of special glues. It actually has a water repellency to it, where it won't swell up and rot and stuff. It can rot under certain conditions, but it takes an awful lot of moisture. And if you notice here, this guy's laying this. He's using what we call a block or a tamping block. I usually see people use sledgehammers for this job to kind of move them over. Literally what he's doing is he's got this board tucked up tight and he's driving it into the groove on that other side right there. So he uses a thing. What you can't see here is you normally apply glue to each one of these common joists. You'll take some construction adhesive, or more popularly known as liquid nails. You'll lay down beads of it. And then when you put the floor down, it'll stick to the glue and hold it really well, but you also have nailing. You can vaguely see little nailing marks that are already on this piece of wood that tell you where to nail. And it should be all the way up the sides, both sides. Another points of notice. You notice how these two separate sheets here meet on top, right on the center of that one common joist. You never want a joint like this spanning out between two joists. It'll just become weak and it'll act like a diving board. The floor will actually bounce. The purpose of the glue is actually to keep the floor from squeaking and popping. We didn't do this 50 years ago, but we do now. And it really holds floors up tight. Sometimes you'll see people use screws even instead of 16-penny nails to hold these in place. This is the subfloor. Here's another picture of a subfloor going in. You notice this guy's actually using a screw gun to hold each one. And if you look closer in here, you can see some of the glue. In fact, this guy right here is actually sealing with a line of glue and foam that goes between each piece. The next man behind him is handling the next piece of subfloor to come in place. If you notice, this backside doesn't have any markings on it, but the front side does. It's a little bit closer. You can actually see the nailing markings a little bit closer. And then there's a combination of circles and squares and dots on it, and they all mean something. But for this moment, you just need to know that those are nailing marks. Just wanted to show you a little something. This is called a cantilevered floor. This floor actually sticks out by itself. You have the common joists that come out. And this is actually a deck. It's somewhere down in New Orleans on the French Quarter. It's a very popular way in Latin cultures and in Southern cultures to have open decks where you span out. Because most of the time a building is taxed on how many square feet it covers of ground that it covers. So a way to make the upstairs feel a little bigger is you cantilever a part out. It actually decreases your footprint. It's an architectural feature. There's ways it sometimes will save you money. All right, one last couple things to talk about here. Openings in floor systems. We've talked about our common joist, which run the full span across between 2 points of contact. Those are our common joists. We talked about our header joist that closes up the end that the common joists run into. What do you do if you have to make an opening? What I have here is I have my common joist run and my common joist run, and we add a board on either side of it here. And these become what are known as my trimmer joist. Very similar in other parts of framing. They're almost the same length as the common, and they go from one point of contact to another point of contact, but they don't travel as far as the common joist does. I've got another little mini set of headers in here, of header joist. That's because we have these little short joists, and in this case, they are called tail joists. These are our two little tail joists, and that's what you use on openings. And this would be a frame out for like a set of a stairwell or something going down into a basement or something. One more view of this same kind of thing. If you look here, here's one of a stairwell going down, and it's actually against an outside wall. has a built-up beam or girder. This would be supporting an outside wall, would go on top of that. We've got, again, this time we have it going the other way. We have our trimmers going this way because this is our tail joist that are running into our trimmers, running into our header. In this case, they doubled it up for strength. You have common joists that are continuing all the way out across the main floor. And these on the side here now become our trimmers, and they actually double them up to make them stronger. And that's a couple more pieces dealing with the floor system.